Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? And today on the Account for Your Life podcast, here's what we are talking about: your invisible power. How does that sound? Does that sound amazing, or does that sound amazing? I kind of copped that. I copped the title of today's from a book that I read many years ago, many times. I'll talk to you a little bit about that, but I'm not actually going to talk to you about anything really in the book, but more so on some promises that I think that, man, if we look at it a little bit closer, we'll find something. It's invisible, but if we attach ourselves to the invisible, then man, something amazing is bound to happen. So let's jump right in this. Now, before we jump into this, look, I'm going to put it up because I think somebody still needs to join the Good Accounting Challenge, because the Good Accounting Challenge is all the accounting that you love. You're like, Jay, but I don't love any accounting. Well, I think you do. I think you love growth. I think you love to become, to get better. And so this challenge is about accounting for the things that you can get better in, removing all the things you don't need so that your business can get to the level that you're actually looking to get to. Today on this podcast, we'll talk a little bit about what Solomon has to say about the invisible power and how we can account for something that a lot of times we're not doing any accounting on. So let's jump right into this. Don't forget, register for the Good Accounting Challenge. So today is the 18th. I'm reading Proverbs every day. And guys, the Wisdom Challenge, 31 Days of Wisdom. I did post a link. I did post a link to the 31 Days of Wisdom that I think you should go in. You should go and register if you haven't registered for the 31 Days of Wisdom at impactmovementmaker.com. I'm an affiliate for Pedro Adeo, so you might as well be tagged to me if you've never joined his programs. So go ahead and jump on there and check out the 31 Days of Wisdom. But today we're going to talk a little bit about wisdom. What wisdom we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about what's in Proverbs 18. There's two things in Proverbs 18 that you probably haven't paid much attention to. You may have heard of them, but you didn't realize how the invisible power is going to help you right now, today in this podcast. Proverbs 18:16 says this: your gift maketh room for you and brings you before great kings, I believe. Brings you before great men is what it says. So it takes you before kings. Now let me ask you a question. Do you know what your gift is? I've got some good news for people in the Good Accounting Challenge today, because I'm going to share some stuff. Well, I'm actually sharing it today. I'm going to share it here with you because I think it's important. So do you know what your gift is? Most people will say, Jay, I'm not really sure what my gift is. I'm going to tell you, I didn't know what my gift was. I said, what is my gift? God is like, come on, man. It's right there in your face. It's right there on the inside of you. And, so a lot of times we can't see what's right in front of us. And then Proverbs 18:21 says this: death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Now, here's the thing. What is that saying? Death and life in the power of the tongue. Well, we've got power. The things that we say, the things that's coming out of your mouth could produce death or life or both. They that eat of it, they that love it shall eat of the fruit thereof. So here's the thing. Do you love death? Everyone says, no, I don't love death. I hate death. Have you audited your words? Have you listened to the words coming out of your mouth lately? Have you even audited your thoughts to try and figure out what am I thinking about? A lot of times we don't even know what we're thinking about. A lot of times our thoughts, which creates our words, man, it's tearing us apart. Look, tearing us to pieces. I'm gonna tell you. So yesterday in Good Accounting Challenge, I introduced the law of concentration. Law of concentration is another way of saying, hey, you got to stay focused. And we talked about focus here before. Now, the thing about concentration is that it's easy not to concentrate. It's easy to concentrate and easy not to concentrate. How? Because your phone could ring. Like you be sitting there doing something, all of a sudden your phone rings. All of a sudden you get an email. All of a sudden someone wants something from you, and so it breaks your concentration. It's nothing like trying to concentrate, but you can't concentrate. So concentration is one of these things where you have to learn the skill to concentrate. You have to learn the skill to stay focused. And that's one thing this year that I'm working on: being focused, staying focused on my goals, looking at them every day, visualizing where I'm going, visualizing the fact that listen, what God gave me is so big, I can't finish it. I need you to help me. I need my kids to help me. I need my wife to help me. I need my mom and dad to help me. I need my brothers to help me. I need everybody around me to help me with these goals, because there's no way I can do it. See, if your goals are for you, then your goals are too small. Write it down. If your goals are for you, the goals are too small. Yeah, Jay, I get it. You may want a house, you may want a car, you may want to upgrade some things in your wardrobe, and you may want to upgrade things in your house. You want to have something. But here's the thing: if those are your goals, then if those are the goals, we missed it. I'm gonna get to the invisible power in a second. So if we're thinking too small, think about this. God told Abraham. He says, Abraham, you'll be a father of many nations, and I will bless your seed. You will be blessed. Your whole lineage. Abraham could not live out what that was. He couldn't live it out. Why couldn't he live it out? Because if he lived it out, then it wasn't for anybody else. God doesn't give out stuff just for you. When he gives us something, that's a form of, hey, I need you to take responsibility for something. God's looking for somebody to take responsibility. And the thing about the invisible power is this: it requires responsibility. It requires you to say, you know what? All right, what is it that I need to be responsible for? And here's what God does. God would like to use you right where you are. Right where you are. I remember wanting to quit accounting. I wanted to get out of this field. I said, man, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this. I want to do something else. I felt something on the inside, but it didn't feel like it was incongruent with what I was doing. But something was saying, no, you're not getting out of here. No, you're not getting out. Look, and here's the thing. And then years later, it shows up. Years later, what I'm responsible for is an industry. But not necessarily the industry in how the industry is run, but how people get into things, how people start having to account for things, how people start looking at life in a different way, how people start saying to themselves, oh my goodness, I got a gift. Oh my goodness, death and life and the power of a tongue. What if I only spoke life? What if I only did that? What if I never said a negative word ever? What if when things happen to me, sometimes when things happen to you, I heard Tony Robbins talking about this recently. And what he said was that he says, look, he has a 90-second rule that when something bad could happen, he only has 90 seconds. 90 seconds to be upset or go into whatever. But after that, it's over. He moves forward. He says every now and then it gets a little bit longer, but for the most part, that's been his rule. And I said, whoa, that's good. That's good. That's good. Because, guys, if you're going to discover the invisible power, you don't have time to focus on anything that's not powerful. Oh, did you catch that? You don't have time to focus on anything that's not powerful. So being broke is not powerful. In fact, that's disempowering. That's not actually helping anybody. Look, listen. Oh my goodness. Like there's a teaching I recently heard. I'm not going to try and give it. But there's a teaching I recently heard that I actually I'm putting this in my challenge. That's why you got to join the challenge. I'm putting it in the challenge. And when I put in a challenge, like I think some people's lives are going to be saved. And when I say people's lives, not because I'm not trying to save anybody, but it's the clarity. It's the clarity that someone gets. And I believe today is clarity. I think the law of clarity is today. It's the clarity that someone gets. Someone's going to get clarity about belief today. What about you? Like, what do you believe? One of the questions I asked on day one of my challenge was, what do you believe about work? And most of us believe the wrong things about work. That's why many people don't like their jobs. That's why many people go into things and they have to retire from them because they don't want to do it. I was talking to somebody who's actually in my industry, and they want to, they don't think they want to keep doing it. I'll do this for another 5 years and I'm going to get out of it. What? Really? You actually want to retire from something? I ain't retiring. I ain't retiring from nothing. That retirement, that's a made up experience to steal your life. I bet you didn't know that. Retirement was made up to steal your life. Hey, why don't you go ahead and fork over 40 years. Fork over 40 years of your life. Give the best of your life now. And then you can have the scraps later. If you're working a job, if you're in a business that you have to retire from, you're in the wrong business. You're in the wrong job. That's why it's important. Let's get back to Proverbs 18:16. Your gift maketh room for you and brings you before great men, brings you before kings. How right now that power is invisible to you. It's totally invisible. You're saying to yourself, I don't even know what my gift is. How can I use a gift? Here's the thing, most of our gifts have to be cultivated. I would not know who I am without cultivating who I am. I would not know. Like, I wouldn't do this if I didn't cultivate it. If I didn't start at the beginning. I had to start at the beginning. I didn't know anything. But then the more I did, I'm like, well, where's it coming from? Well, you already had that. See, when God speaks into your life at the beginning, before time started, He's spoken to your life and He said who you are. He already said that. So I'm catching up to what God has already said about me. What about you? Are you catching up to what God said about you? Are you catching up? It's invisible right now. You're saying, oh, how can I use my gifts? Some people have physical gifts, like they can play the piano. My niece can play the piano. She's gifted, multifaceted, right? But then the internal gift is what takes over. There's an internal gift as well. So the thing about Proverbs 18:21, death and life is in the power of the tongue. That your mouth is a gift. If you don't know what your gift is, use your mouth. Your mouth is a gift. You are gifted to say things that build your life in others. You are gifted with that. So if you don't know what your gift is, just use your mouth as your gift. Today in the challenge, we're going to be talking about, what gets accounted for gets done. And it has to do with your mouth, but it also has to do with some other things that I'm going to be sharing today that's going to help somebody to break through and break free. See, invisible, the things that are made of things that are unseen. Everything that we see today was invisible before it became anything. You were invisible before you became. This computer was invisible before it was made. This phone that's over there was invisible before it was made. This microphone was invisible before it was made. This mouse for my computer was invisible before it was made. Somebody had to tap into something, and I guarantee you what they did was they said something. Man, you know what? I think I'm gonna make me some computers, man. I'm gonna make me a microphone. I'm gonna make me a mouse. I'm gonna make a phone that people are going to love. I'm gonna create a method that people will actually build their life and their business. I said it first. I said it. I will create the world's most successful accounting organization that helps people to account for their life. Here's the thing. That is so big, I know that that thing's got to last longer than me. See, when I create Living Free Financial Services, it's just about my freedom. When I created more small business services, it was just about more and small, me and my wife. Then, see, when God gives you an idea, we're going to close in just a second. See, because when God gives you an idea, it shows up in the invisible realm. It doesn't show up physical. It doesn't show up with all the results. It shows up in the invisible realm. You have to use your power to tap into where that is. See, your invisible power is already in you. You have the power. See, in Genevieve B. Rand, she's the one who wrote a nice little book, like this thin, maybe about 80, 60, 70 pages, Your Invisible Power. And what she talks about in this book is the power to see. I give you, this is the just one cliff note, the power to see. And she talked about an experience that she had. She needed, I think her husband had died and she had a little bit of money. Like she had some money to kind of take care of herself, but that's it, just enough to get by. But she needed to come up with like $10,000, maybe $20,000. Guys, that's probably the equivalent of like 200 grand, $300,000 back when she was coming up. She needed to come up with this amount of money so that she can go and go. She wanted to meet somebody that lived, I think he lived in either London or somewhere overseas. She lived in the United States. She says, I have to meet him. I'm going to close. Don't miss this last story. I have to meet him. But she had no money. She didn't have any resources. She didn't have a husband to take care of her. She just had enough money to get by. And she says, she had been listening. She had been hearing some things about this power. And she was just like, wait a second. And she says she had heard about Thomas Troward. That's his name. Thomas Troward had these teachings that she says, you know what, if I could just learn from him. She was his only student. He wasn't even trying to have students, but she was his only student. But she says, I will be his student. And she came up with the money. How'd she do it? It was invisible. She says she just could see it. She just knew it. She just moved towards it. She never let the experience of not having the money ever take over her life. In fact, she believed that the life that she would have would come as a result of what she said and believed. Now, here's the thing, and that's another teaching. What you say and what you believe could be different. But she connected what she believed to what she said, came up with the money, became his only student, and became one of the most well-known people. Go look her up. Genevieve B. Rand. It's Behrend. Genevieve B. Rand wrote the book, Your Invisible Power, the power to see. But here's the thing. You can see it. When you say it, it has to connect with what you believe. When that happens, your invisible power will come out. You'll be the best person. You'll do the things. You'll have the stuff, all through your invisible power. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me for this episode of the I AFYL podcast. Don't forget, join the Wisdom Challenge at impactmovementmaker.com. Also, the Good Accounting Challenge at goodaccountingchallenge.com. Don't forget, all these things will help you to grow and become the person that you would like to be. Build your business the way that you know you would like to have it. God bless. I will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.